it's the same thing. I think when we have people who have these incredible remissions, it's sure it's that moment, but it's also everything that they've done leading up to that moment. That's what I believe.
Exactly. And on the contrary, it's like if someone got a certain infection about something, and when they go downhill really quick, there's something that led up to that.
Yeah. No, absolutely, dude. You hit it right on the head.
And so, and to prevent that, which I would be happy if the one takeaway that people got from this podcast is, let's look at the bigger picture and what's the opportunity in this multiple narratives that's going on in the world, people suffering, not knowing what to take, what to do, all kind of symptoms. Okay, what do we do now, and how do we create some kind of how do we organize this for ourselves and incorporate new habits in our life to deal with the situation, and if I was hurt by it, or to prevent the next time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Far Out with Faust. I'm sitting here once again with my friend Nissim Malul. Is it Malul? Did I say it right?
Yes.
Malul. We have decided that we should speak again because there's been a lot happening since the last time we spoke. And last time we spoke in general about a bunch of things involving nutrition and health and supplemental health and all the things that we can be doing to keep this environment pristine and strong and protected, right? Because we are in an age when that is at the forefront of everyone's mind. Well, most people's minds. And a lot has happened since then. And so Nissim has been in this field for over 25 years now, the alternative health arena. And he's developed some amazing products, and this is what he does. And so he's a lot of things. He's an NLP practitioner. He's a formulator. He's a speaker. He's an educator. He is a modern day alchemist. I use his supplements daily, more than one. And it's my pleasure to have him back on. Two-time champ Nissim. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, man.
I've been enjoying your other talks. I've been watching your channel and just like juicy stuff.
Thanks, man.
The other day with that guy that went to study in China, the doctor.
Oh yeah, Dr. Barry. Yeah, man, he's the real deal.
It's like a modern day
Doctor
Strange.
For real. Like when I heard his story, I was like, damn, he really is like probably like the truest Doctor Strange, actual Doctor Strange that's walking the planet, because it's like you see it in movies all the time. Like I was watching Batman Begins, and like Bruce Wayne goes to the mountains and he's doing all this training to become Batman. But it's like you see all these legends, and you hear about the Shaolin monks and all the training that they go through, and it's like, but it really goes on. This guy is like, I can't even imagine what he's seen and done. He can't even talk about most of it. It's like they're kind of sworn to secrecy, but yeah, incredible guy. My last podcast was Dr. Barry Morgaline. If you guys are listening, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Yeah, man.
Real
Thanks
stuff.
for checking it out.
So taking that and expanding upon that and what you said, and you said something, it's on many people's mind, and I would say we would want it to be on more people's mind.
Yeah.
Health and what it takes, and to give this more of a perspective and a bird's eye overview of everything that's happening. Yes, there's a lot of details and a lot of narratives and a lot of opinions and a lot of different things and different substances and this guy and good and bad and and all that stuff, and we can go down that tunnel. And at the end of the day, I think for myself, the way I see this is an opportunity. This entire situation scenario globally, worldwide, if there is an infinite intelligence and we both come, follow a certain teaching that respects that aspect, that teaches how to cultivate relationship with that bigger infinite mind, right? So there's an intelligent design. And if there's an intelligent design, which I believe there is, then there's a reason in everything that's happening. And it's all comes down to an opportunity to evolve.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, absolutely. And Nissim, just to, piggyback on what you're saying and reinforce why we're having this discussion. I believe that we are aligned in this. I walk around New York City and I see people walking around with a lot of fear. And in my heart and in my mind, I don't have that. And that's not because I have these delusions of grandeur. It's just because I know what I put into my body, and I know that I'm safe. And I could get in the car with, like, the whole place could be infected by people with varying viruses and infections, and I wouldn't worry. I really wouldn't worry. I mean, I would take care of myself. I would come home and I know I would be fine. And so it's nice to be able to walk around with the knowledge, the knowing that it doesn't matter what you're going to be exposed to, that you have the power to be just fine. And that starts with lifestyle. It starts with choices. It starts with taking responsibility for yourself. And I think that's, one of the reasons why Nissim and I wanted to speak again, is to give people more reasons to feel less fear. Right. I mean, that's, I think, what the core of it. Right, Nissim?
Yeah, and the solution to that is always action, taking action, is being proactive. And Tony talks about that a lot. It's always to take action. And what kind of action do I take in order to mitigate that fear versus waiting for something outside of me, someone, some magic pill, some, something to shoot up the veins, all that stuff, to solve whatever needs to be solved. And there's not one solution. I think there's not one answer. It's like a holistic view of everything. So if it's exercise daily, the whole thing of exercise, when in California, it's big here. It's because in the morning, doesn't matter if it's winter, it's still okay.
Yeah.
In New York, you don't want to go out. It's too cold. Right?
Yeah. No, I know.
So, there's a lot of elderly Asian crowd that can be seen walking in parks and public parks in the morning, doing their brisk walk and their stretching. So an exercise, to make it easier or more acceptable, more understandable how necessary it is, it's more about moving the lymph rather than bench pressing whatever pounds, which is also great and not for everyone. We can see that some do boxing.
That's right. Yeah.
And and it's just about moving the lymph. So the lymph is our disposal section in the body that absorbs all the toxins, and we're daily accumulating toxins from the environment, from food, from the air. And if we are assisting the body expelling that through just walking, breathing, stretching daily.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be strenuous. It just has to be the whole thing consistent. There's no one-time fix-all. There's no workshop once a year to fix it all. Well, I learned the workshop and then I got to practice it.
That's right. That's right. You can fix a lot in a workshop, but that's only because you bring it back to your life and then put it into practice, right? Or else the fix tends to fade,
Yes.
A lot of times. Sometimes, things are ready to be fixed and so they become a permanent fix. But what I've noticed, and through my experience personally, and what I observe in other people, is that, those changes that happen right away and stay fixed, they're because that person has done a lot to lead to that moment, to be ready for that, right? It's usually not just, magic, right? It's a lot goes into it, kind of behind the scenes. It's like everything else you see someone who's excellent at something and they make it look so easy, but you have no idea how much they've practiced to get into that zone, to get into that flow. It's the same thing, I think, when we have people who have these incredible remissions. It's sure it's that moment, but it's also everything that they've done leading up to that moment. That's what I believe.
Exactly. And on the contrary, it's like if someone got a certain infection about something, and when they go downhill really quick, there's something that led up to that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely, dude. You hit it right on the head.
So, and to prevent that, which I would be happy if the one takeaway that people got from this podcast is, let's look at the bigger picture and what's the opportunity in this multiple narratives that's going on in the world, people suffering, not knowing what to take, what to do, all kind of symptoms. Okay, what do we do now, and how do we create some kind of how do we organize this for ourselves, and incorporate new habits in our life, to deal with the situation, and if I was hurt by it, or to prevent the next time.
Yeah.
So it's the exercise, and then it's the meditation.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk to people about meditation, I was like, oh yeah, what's gonna help me to just sit there, quietly listen to the birds?
Yeah.
Look, there's an active meditation and there's a passive meditation. What Dr. Joe teaches is extremely active meditation.
Yeah.
And utilizing you tapping into a higher power or quantum field, and working with that.
The other thing that Dr. Joe teaches well is techniques to slow your brain waves down to get yourself into a meditative state. And he has specific techniques that he teaches that you get really kind of good at, that will. So people are like, how do I get better at meditating? And I'm like, well, you can, there are people who teach. There's different, I don't want to call them hacks, because they're not hacks, but they are shortcuts. They're a way to entrain the brain to slow down. A lot of people can't just quiet the monkey mind. It's been going on for so long, and I tell people all the time, like, if you practice the techniques that Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, he'll teach you ways to quiet the monkey mind, which is, I think, one of his greatest gifts to people, is once they learn to do that, then you can really venture out and try any kind of meditation, because you'll be able to get into that state of nothingness.
Yeah, that too. And to expand upon that, the monkey mind is a result of unresolved stuff, limiting beliefs that are, mostly limiting beliefs. Because if I believe something, then I'm going to think a certain way. And if I'm going to think a certain way, and then I'm going to act a certain way. And if that way is inconducive to myself, I'm going in a loop, an automatic loop, like an automatic program. Yeah. So
a lot of programming. Monkey mind is from a lot. It's kind of an accumulative, and I think, your upbringing and how you were spoken to manifests itself in that voice, that, especially the one that runs amok with you when things start to get a little hairy. And then it's like, look, it doesn't look, I find myself sometimes in a situation where I'm like, I got to take a deep breath. I got to hold my breath, because I find myself getting excited, and going to a place of anxiety that has become very foreign to me. And so I start to, it's kind of so alien to me these days that I really start to like, I get scared when it happens. I have to really kind of step back and breathe and come into my heart and realize that I'm, not in danger, and that I'm letting my fears take a bigger podium than they should have. And so yeah, there's nothing like meditation when it comes to being able to work with that. But it takes a little practice. And so, like Nissim was saying, it's a big thing. Nissim, I don't know if you saw the broadcast that Dr. Joe did a few weeks ago about the most recent scientific findings that have come out of the team he's working with out of San Diego, the University of San Diego, about meditation. And they were testing the blood of his meditators. And they were at first, the initial tests were going against, the epigenetics of cancer and all that. But then when the pandemic happened, they could no longer get into the lab. They needed a reason. And so you had, in order to use the facilities at this university, they had to be doing something with COVID. And so they were like, well, what if we tested the blood against that? And so some incredible scientific findings have come out of that already. And the scientists are like, I don't believe it, test it again. Test it again. But pretty remarkable stuff. I mean, if you, the notion that meditation is just a mental and spiritual thing is really soon going to be a myth, because the effects that it has on biology and immunity, and they're coming out now, and it's not people saying that, the data is saying that, and that is pretty remarkable for the time that we are in right now.
Right.
Exciting.
So it is an opportunity. So it's more avenues that were never considered, or not much considered before by many. Now, oh, okay, let me look at that, because nothing's really working, because the narrative's confusing, because there's fact checkers all over, and all kind
opinion checkers,
all kind of facts.
they apparently they had to admit in the court of law a few weeks ago that, in fact, they're not fact checkers, they are opinion checkers.
Okay.
They got in a lot of trouble.
It's an algorithm.
Yeah, of course. But the fact that they claim to be fact checkers, but yet in a court of law, under the gun, they were forced to admit that they're not fact checkers, they're opinion checkers. And that's the only way they got out of the incredible trouble they were in. The fuckers. What a joke. But let's get right into some of the crux of what we're talking about, Nissim. I know a lot. It wasn't a surprise for me to read the amount of Google searches that have come up in the last, I think, oh my God, it was something like 200 million searches on a couple things. First, how to detox from from those things that they insisted everyone get. How to detox from the wide array of side effects that have been turning into chronic effects for a lot of people, like my father, who's had a full body rash for, oh my God, it's been, well, let's see, whenever the first Pfizer one came out, that's when he had it in reaction to that first one, and of course he went ahead and got the second one and then got boosted. But a full body rash is a pretty uncomfortable thing for an older gentleman to have, and he's been to every specialist in the country. Of course, he's had blood work done 1,000 times, and they're just like, yeah, you got everything in your blood that we can imagine. And I'm like, hey, Dad, wasn't, they just kept telling him all these things they're finding in his blood. I'm like, wait a minute, didn't you just get that? Didn't you get that jab in 2019? Didn't you get that jab right before your blood work sounds remarkably like your list of, what? And he's like, yeah, well, yeah, of course, it's probably not. It's a reaction. I was like, oh, it's definitely a reaction. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt it's a reaction. But, a lot of people are looking for ways to try and get back to the way they were before they decided to do that. A lot of people are looking for ways to get back to the way they were before they got COVID. And we don't exactly have a healthcare system in place that is going to be of much aid to them, and I don't know if the allopathic route is a solution. What they need to bring back to their body is homeostasis, is a balance, and so definitely let's talk about those two things, because they are, I know a lot of people, and I've gotten a lot of messages from people asking me, what can I do? And I'm like, I try to direct them to the right places, but it's not my field. So I would love to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay, well, basically, it's never one answer and it's never a quick fix. It's going to take some life changes and some new habits. So everything is behavioral, because I work with the herbs, and then I got to that from my own self development, from working on my own patterns and mind. Then I address everything from there because we're creatures of habit. So everything is a habit. Thinking negatively, or fearing consistently about something is a habit. Exercising every day is a habit. Meditating every day is a habit. Even a certain diet that I adhere to is a habit. Everything is a habit. So it's what habits do I want to, or do I think that are
Right.
me to incorporate and consider, to accept and practice every day. So some sort of exercise every day, super important, because we want to keep on assisting the body to release toxins. So whatever it is for everyone, for anyone, like I said, some people want to bench press that. Some people want to box. I enjoy your videos.
Some people like to punch things. It's good stress relief. I recommend it. Highly recommend it.
It's great,
It
yeah,
is great.
whatever it is. It's a lot of people do Thai boxing.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
cool. And it can be as easy as walking in the morning early and stretching. Stretching is big, super important. Stretching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's incredible is the amount of energy that can be moved with some simple movements. And I'm constantly amazed by that. If you watch the end of that video with Dr. Barry, he has me do a kind of a simple physical exercise that they taught him on the mountains. And I mean, it was just incredible to me how different I felt after I did that. If you guys want to check it out, I mean, there's a simple thing that you can do to really kind of just move energy and get blood flowing and kind of open up this area up here that I feel like sometimes we forget needs to be expanded as well. You have to check it out if you haven't seen it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing.
All the way to yeah. I
Yeah,
have so many videos, and I watch a little bit, I stop, and then I go.
that's how I am too.
And they're all open windows. I'm like, so yeah. So exercise, and then I would say some sort of meditation with a breathing. Your listeners know about Dr. Joe through you, so
yeah, many of them. Dr. Joe Dispenza we're speaking about.
yeah. So if they're meditating for 27 years, I've learned so many different ones. I would say his meditation with the breathing is really important, because also the breathing in and of itself is moving fluid. It's moving cerebral spinal fluid inside the body, and then activating the pineal gland, which in turn creates another 1,200 different chemicals in the body, and is starting to heal the body and boost the immune system and help the psyche, which is what so these are like the basis. I start my day with meditation. I don't leave. I get up, brush my teeth, and go meditate. I don't check email, and nothing. That's my 2 hours, 2.5 hours every day. I try to do the 3 a.m. thing. When I'm able to do that, it's amazing.
Right.
It truly is 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. the angel hour. That's
my God. If you can do it, I mean, if you get the opportunity to do it, and you have and you're like, well, what do I do? Well, there's a lot of things you can do, but I would recommend one with breathing. Dr. Joe has some amazing ones that he designed for that hour, kind of to help the pineal gland and the pituitary function that happens. And because there's a lot of melatonin and serotonin are being, let's see, melatonin at night, right?
Yeah. So your body's saturated with melatonin at that time. That's why, which is the precursor for DMT in the brain.
That's right. And that it's a natural upgrade to the melatonin molecule, which parks right there in the pineal gland, in the same parking spot as DMT, among other, incredible molecules, which are all, believe it or not, this this slight souped up version of melatonin. So the mind is already set up for some incredible things to happen. What can you do to help induce them? And that's what we're talking about. But besides, so you, well, the great thing about Dr. Joe's stuff is, people are often like, yeah, but dude, like I can't pay like $30. And, I understand some people are listening and they don't have it in their budget right now. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube for free now. I keep getting phone calls from friends who are finding meditations of his on YouTube that are free. And so you can find them if you look. They're out there. A bunch of them are out there for free. So take advantage, while they're up, because they might get taken down when the copyrights, when the algorithms go out, and so look, for people who are like, there's other people who have meditations. If you want to try, practice different ones, like look for ones that work, even if they're 5, 10, 20 minutes, start, you can start with 5 minutes a day, and that's something, and you will feel a difference even with that small amount of time that you're allowing to just plug into something that's greater than you and everything you got going on in this busy mind.
The thing is, the main thing, because I'm here, we're all here, I believe we're all here to evolve out of whatever conditioning and belief system and programming that we do have, because it's like a yin and yang. I have to experience both sides of the circle to be a whole. So I have to experience the darkness and the lightness, and both have a little bit of each. So a meditation, yes, there's many different techniques, and at the end of the day, you don't have to buy anything. You can just put like a little track of music. The important thing is to daily pick something out that I want to resolve within myself and observe it. Because meditation is pretty much increasing the awareness, getting to the meditative state where I can step aside from the programming and observe it and bring awareness to it. Just like Eckhart Tolle says, the power of now is bringing the awareness to the programming, which means I'm no longer no longer subject and automatically, following a certain program that's running. I'm stepping aside and thinking, wait, is this actually ecological for me, or can I let it go and can I shift, or what's the impact of this in my life? So pick a topic, think about it before you go into the meditation. And that is crucial, because my belief system drives my choices, my actions, and consequently my results in all areas of life.
And your experience and your body's experience. You are, your body is your vehicle. It's your avatar, right? And your body is always listening to your mind and your spirit, that conglomeration of those things, your soul and your mind, whatever you want to, however you want to think about it. But, I love watching fighters, and I was watching one of my favorite fighters. Her name is Rose Namajunas, Thug Rose, they call her. She's this badass chick, and she was about to fight the Chinese champion, who has, just looked unbeatable. But I know Rose, and I've seen her come into mastery, and I see her right before she goes out. She says to myself, she's talking to herself. You can see it on the camera, and you can read her lips. She says to herself, "I'm the best. I'm the best." She walks out. She head kicks the Chinese champion and knocks her out cold. No one imagined the fight could have. Everyone expected a war, and she was an underdog. Constantly programming, right? It's your body hears what you're saying to it. So if it's a strong immune system, if it's protection that you want, you can begin to program that as part of your daily meditative practice. You can begin to program anything that you can imagine and believe, honestly, and it's effective. I guess I shouldn't have to convince people who are actually listening to this podcast, but it's not like it doesn't work. And what meditation does is puts you in a state for it to work, because the analytical mind it's kind of like a barrier to your programming, right? And what meditation does is it allows you to get slower. And like, do you ever see people like they're in a trance or like they're watching TV, like, and when your brain waves slow down like that, you're highly suggestible. And that's why they run all those pharma commercials at night, and they get people, they're Netflixing and chilling, and then an ad comes on, and they got you. You're like, yeah, I gotta get that. The next day, you don't even know why. Well, they planted a little suggestion. You were open to it. You were wide open to it. So that's what meditation does for you as well.
I added the same devices.
Exactly. Yeah.
Put music, put the things that increase the emotional response, and insert everyone their own positive, whatever they want to incorporate in their life and change.
Yeah.
It's the programming, like you said, with that fighter, yes, that has an impact. And then I believe that the work that is also crucial is cleaning out the weeds of the negative self-talk and what's behind them.
Oh yeah.
Of like what's actually, so that's what I'm saying, the meditations or the processes that one could benefit of doing daily would be to take out the bad weeds. And then it's easier for that part of the mind while they're awake, while they're, before they're on the ring, to accept the suggestions that she's giving herself, because she already took out the bad weeds.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, and that's the whole thing, the subconscious 95%, the conscious is 5%. So logic, reasoning, decision making is in the conscious, and the subconscious holds the entire programming or the blueprint of the decisions that I made from a very young age that constitute my belief system. So if my belief system is not congruent with what my logic says, they won't work together.
No.
The logic says I'm the best, and then the subconscious is not really wanting to accept that.
Yeah. It's like, it's always a funny joke. Like you can walk around saying that to yourself all day, but if you're not feeling it, what's it worth? Like you gotta feel it. I mean, you can say it, but it's a lot more powerful when you feel it and say it, right? Because you can say, no, I feel great, I'm happy, and meanwhile, you feel like shit, and you're not happy at all. Like, what do you're just kind of, you're talking, but it's not landing, it's not resonating, right? And that the signal that's being put out is, I don't feel good, I'm not happy. So what are you getting? What are you experiencing? That's what's really going on.
That's the work. What is the signal? What's underneath the signal? Why is my signal from my conscious that I'm saying not gelling or not being accepted by my innermost being?
Yeah.
So what's there? So anxiety, fear, depression are not something to fight or to go to take a pill and say, oh well, this is a bad state, I need to take this pill so not to feel like that. No, they're a gift.
Yeah.
They're pointing at something else that I need to look at and get to the next level. If I take something to cover it, then I'm not evolving. So I'm feeling, stable, quote unquote, or I'm feeling, not depressed, but not happy, flat, So what am I doing? Like, am I here to survive, just eat and go through my daily motions? And
what am I missing? Because it's got to be, I mean, Dr. Berry, the guy who we've been talking about, referring to on my last podcast, said one of the things that the first thing he said when I was listening to him speak at the biohacking conference was like, he told everyone in the audience, he said, you're meant to live in a state of joy. Do you realize that? Do you realize that life is supposed to be an event, and it's supposed, you're supposed to be able to find that. He's like, yeah, of course we have challenges, and we're here for those challenges, but your overall state should be to return to that. And look, that is a complicated thing that some people are going to hear me say, well, that seems a long way off. for me from where I feel right now. But you don't know that. You don't know that for sure, but if you get into some of these work that we're talking about, you're going to realize that you may be a lot closer to it than you imagine. I feel like people are constantly trying to, and there's nothing wrong with this. I think you have to get an idea of where it comes from, right? But then when the habit becomes to reaffirm and continue to dig up trauma, then you've got a different problem to deal with. Then you have to get out of the victim mentality. Okay, you've unearthed what you needed to unearth. You know why you're programmed the way you're programmed. Okay, now let's get to the productive part of creating a new life, of reprogramming, because you can only dig up and face so much shit until you're like, okay, you could pretty much figure out what happened to yourself. Do you need every detail? Do you need to go into altered states to figure out how fucked up you got, or can you figure? I think once we figure it out, it's like, all right, the challenge then becomes to move out of self-pity, get over the shock, because a lot of people, it's a shock. For me, it was a pretty big shock, and let's start creating a new life, a new response to everything that's happening. And that's the way I think about it.
Yeah, and at the end of my meditation, after I dealt with something and dismantled it, because every part of the belief system has an energetic hold. So an awareness is one thing. The taking action to actually release that energetic hold that's the actual process. So we talked about that last time. All NLP and hypnotherapy and a bunch of other processes, Sedona method, this and that, EFT, They all work on releasing the energetic hold of a pattern. That's what I'm talking about. It's not about roaming and figuring out and psychoanalyze. Yeah. It's more about let me check with myself if this has a hold. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then I check with myself, okay, this habit or whatever whatever behavior that I'm repeating that's no longer work. Okay, I ask myself from 1 to 10, how strong is it? If I get 0.1, it's still there.
Yeah.
Weed is still there. I need to take the root out. And that's what I mean. It's just to take the root out. It's just connect, become aware of the impact, release it. And then at the end of my meditation, I already have, my whole programming that I want to install, already prepared it, of who I want to be, and I see 4 different incidents in life of different of being that I want to incorporate, and I go into that state and I see the picture and I see myself, and then I feel gratitude for that having already happened.
That's right.
And so I have 4 of those. Exactly.
That's literally the secret.
And and you know what? Here's the thing, because we're living in infinite possibilities. It's like tapping into another reality which exists now, and being thankful for that reality that exists now. And through being thankful for that reality, I'm actually pulling that from wave form into physical form.
Literally.
So, yeah.
And it will happen. And look, you get better and better at this. I'm telling you that I mean, I hate to put it in such simple terms. Like, people are like, well, it's not happening for me. Well, you just started, man. You just give it a chance, give your body a chance to align with your heart, and watch how things happen for you then, and how fast things can happen for you. And even then you're going to, you'll catch yourself in kind of an old mind frame. And then all of a sudden things, but you've been doing the work for so long that things are congruing even when you're upset about what's happening. And all of a sudden things are like, they just switch. Like, this crazy thing happened to me last weekend. The snowstorm hit New York City, and I'm sleighing with my kids, and I'm filming them with one hand, and I'm catching them from hitting this concrete barrier with the other. And I tore my bicep. I tore the muscle, and it was painful. But I could tell, like, it was the pain was pretty extreme, and I'm pretty tough when it comes to pain, and I knew that this was, it felt a little catastrophic. You know what I'm saying? And I got to get this thing because I couldn't move my. I have some flexibility with it now, but it's still torn. I had an MRI, and I was like, I just want to get this fixed, looked at, and done. Just I want to because I know that I'm not going to be able to box until I can get this arm fixed. I just had an intuition about it, and I got the MRI, and they were like, yeah, you tore your, it's about an inch and a half above where it's supposed to be connected. And I'm like, I had a feeling, and I got, but my point is, when I called, they were like, you can get in here for an MRI in 2 weeks. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, call me when something opens up. I live pretty close. I'm sure it'll open up. Call me today. I was like, if something opens up. She was like, okay, but do you want to make the appointment? I'm like, yeah, you can make it, but make sure you make a note. I got a call that day. I went in for the MRI, got the results back, was meeting with the doctor. I have surgery in 2 days. So I'm gonna get this thing fixed up so I can start healing. And I'm gonna use what I know, but it's just amazing because people are like, yeah, in a month you may be able to schedule it. I'm like, no, man, that's way too long. Like, I'm sure there's a possibility where I can just have this thing fixed, but have the surgery about a week from the injury, and then I'm already, then my recovery is going to be towards a state of wholeness instead of just trying to recover this thing and not knowing if it's going to work the way it used to. But anyway, my point is, it all happened for me. Like in a couple of days, I had the MRI, the checkup, X-rays, surgery scheduled. They told me it would be a month. 2 weeks just for the MRI. It's on the schedule, baby. You know what I mean? Like it just all happened for me. And it worked out. So yeah, I'm going to use what I know about NLP, about the suggestibility of the body, about how much it can affect the recovery of people post-surgery. I mean, you're talking about almost a 50% difference in the time it takes people who go through, go to people like Nissim and get coached pre-surgery for their surgery. And then afterwards they come out, their recovery time is literally about half of what the normal person is. And that's because you can program the body. You can program anti-inflammatory responses. You can program there to be less bleeding during the surgery. And this has been documented, Nissim will tell you. Tell him, Nissim.
There's hypnoanesthesia as well. People do, it's a whole field. Hypnosis is like, when studying medical, it can be a surgeon, it can be an eye doctor, it can be, so hypnotherapy is very wide. People can work with pains, and there's some people that work with anesthesia. And there's like a video of a lady giving birth under hypnoanesthesia. She's awake.
Wow. That's like my wife had to do that. We didn't make it in time for anything else. She had to go. Had to do it. Yeah. Well, my second son he came so fast. We barely made it to the hospital. We were in a taxi. I thought we were going to be giving birth in a New York City taxi. Because we barely got in the door, and they were like, there is no time. And she was like, no, I can't do this. I'm like, you have to. I'm like, and she did it. She's incredible. My wife. Yeah, she did it. No, nothing. No painkiller, no anything. It's amazing how tough women are. Just
yeah. Also in natural birth, that the body is releasing DMT.
Yeah, DMT, natural, like all kinds of things, right?
All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they don't do the anesthesia and they prepare for the event with the breathing, with all the different techniques, then something kicks in.
Yeah.
They're in their own zone, and yeah, that's another option.
For sure. And you know what? I mean, well, it was less. The time obviously was less, but it was a lot less stressful than my first son, who took about, 34 hours to labor. And yeah. But you learn a lot from the first one. But my second one, he couldn't get here fast enough.
I was excited to get out.
You're very excited. He came rip roaring out like gung ho, like everything else he does. But yeah, it's amazing to see my wife go through that. But I digress. Anyway, what we're talking about, it's like, okay, we're going to get into some of the different supplements that you can also include, but what we're trying to stress is not to underestimate the environment that you can create by yourself without anything else, without a single, herb, supplement, plant. You first and foremost, you have to take responsibility and understand that you got it all right here. This is the greatest pharmacy in the world. Nothing compares to it. You got everything you need, and you have access to it. But
Exactly.
the other thing that Nissim has a lot of expertise and experience in, he's been working in it for a long time, it is different supplements and things that you can add to, enhance your body's natural protection, and I'm sure, Nissim, you probably have had a lot of questions and requests, and what can you talk a little bit about it, about some of the, I'm sure you've gotten a lot of requests for different things, and what was some of the most common you got over the last 6 months?
Well, the common is really what to do, what to take, which vitamin C to take, which vitamin D to take. What exactly should I do? Should I take on a daily basis, and where to buy, and which and what
Was
about
it
elderberry, and what about so there's like what I've experienced a lot is basically there's a lot of bits of information that the public is accumulating from a little bit from here, a little bit from there, all kind of different narratives. And okay, let me get this, or let me get those chewy gums, whatever, with my
yeah
vitamin C. Let me get elderberry. Oh yeah, that's the one. Zinc. I need zinc. Give me zinc.
yeah zinc, it's a big one, yeah.
So okay, so it's like okay, because of that and everything that I do, I wanted to simplify, and that's the entire thing, is simplify uh, the intake of herbs, the intake of vitamins, the intakes of supplements, the intake of adaptogens, the intake of fatty acids, like essential fatty acids,
Mm-hmm.
amino acids, and to make it really simple and high quality. So there's no guess game. There's no, okay, let me take this from here, that from there. No, here, take this. It has that. Take these.
Right.
This liquid has essential fatty acids. This one, and the thing is that I incorporate a lot of knowledge from Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and also Amazonian herbs,
Hmm.
and also Middle Eastern herbs. So pretty much, and also Western herbs. So pretty much from the entire world.
That's the, I mean, if you can pull from it the best from it all, then you should absolutely.
Yeah, because everyone has their value.
Right.
Everyone has different value, the value that they provide. And in terms of why I started this conversation with meditation and mindset, because it all starts from there.
Mm-hmm.
So and like and the word you said, supplements, add-ons, because
Right.
that is what it is. It's a supplement. It's not a cure all. Let me depend on this pill to do everything.
Right.
It's not going to do that. I've found that for myself, the herbs work really well when I have a meditation practice.
Right.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's like enhanced, times 20.
Yeah.
So, which is true.
We started in the only place we could, and I'm glad that you started there, because people need to hear that, whether they want to skip to the, what they believe is the shortcut or not. There is no getting around it. I know people who, they have this idea that they're healthy, but yet they're always getting sick, and they look healthy most of the time. And I'm like, why, what, don't, at some point you have to stop and ask yourself why, why that is, I mean, it's funny because I stopped getting sick, I mean, like, and I say sick, I mean, like, a cold once in a while, or a sinus infection, or, kind of the seasonal thing that happens to most people, I think. Once in a while, people get the flu, or, I mean, like, that kind of stopped happening to me after about a year and a half, 2 years into my meditation practice, when I started to become aware of these supplements that I could add to it. Right. So I got my base in place, my foundation, and then I added on to it. And when I added on to it, I think that's what really put me on a level where I I could stop worrying because I just wasn't falling ill anymore. I wasn't getting a cold. I wasn't getting a flu. After about 2 years of that, I was like, huh, really something to it. And then when COVID happened and all that, everyone is afraid to leave their house. And I'm like, it makes you really feel like a stranger on the planet when you're like, what is going on around here? When you don't have any of that going on in yourself. But let's get into a little bit of it, Nissim, for our patient listeners who have been waiting for this part. Like, can share some of your some of the refinements that you've made as far as giving people what they need in general that could really kind of help them kind of armor everything up. And
so just to address that one little thing about looking for the final solution, Taoist medicine, which is an offshoot of Chinese medicine, started by Taoist monks, which a big portion of their daily practices is their meditations and breathings. And then there's herbs. Mm-hmm. So there you have it.
Yeah, really.
And I mean, they said that they lived over 100, 200 years. I believe that. Believe that lived that long. So in terms of whatever and without mentioning too many names of the condition that exists worldwide right now, I went into a research mode, and I created something more specified for what's happening for people that did take the vaccine, people that didn't, and I wanted to really target something very specific that is also portable and people can take with them. Mm-hmm. And it can help with it can help support whoever is on whichever part of the line. Okay. And there are two molecules that are big right now, and I invite people to Google. It's suramine and shikimic acid. Some people call it shishimic acid. And those are two molecules. They exist in aniseed, in white pine, and in fennel. And actually, suramine, for instance, is used, and it was researched, and you can find in medical publications that prevents the entry of the COVID virus into the cells.
I did read about that. Yeah.
So, of course, the publication says, yeah, a lot more.
Well, yeah. So you might not want to Google it. You might want to DuckDuckGo it or use an alternate search engine, because Google may not bring you the most prevalent results about it. But yeah, how do you spell it again, Nissim?
So suramine, SURAMIN. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
And then it's used as an antiviral. Actually, they use it in HIV and hepatitis C medications, and also in anti-parasitical medications. So it has a way to protect the lungs and airways, also of already symptomatic patients. So aside from people that have not got sick, or I would say preventative, it also may protect and support those that already have the symptoms.
Right.
And
is that the one, Nissim, that also utilizes zinc to help, or am I thinking of a different one?
Different one.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. We'll get to the zinc.
Zinc's got a lot of good press over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, zinc is great. I'll get to that because
don't let me. Sorry about that.
Minerals. So shikimic acid, SHIKIMIC. Some people pronounce it shishimic acid, and it also actually is in a medication that halts blood clots and used in flu medications. They used it as a material, an industrial for industrial synthesis of a drug, an antiviral drug called oseltamivir. I'm probably not pronouncing it, but it's a drug that they use against influenza H5N1, and that's so they use this compound. Okay. Now, like I said, you can get these in white pine needle and star anise and in fennel seeds. Um, Pine needle. Now, so I took these three molecules, and then I took these three plants, and then I took other plants that also have antiviral, anti-inflammatory, um, grounding, calming of the nervous system, balancing, and then just boosting of the natural boost to the immune system. And I combined all of them together. And the intention was really like, okay, actually what happened is like three of my employees and also the person who's editing this podcast got sick all at the same time. All at the same time. Like, and I'm like, I had to take two hands and turn them to 10.
Yeah.
Everything in production, this, that. I'm in the studio. And then I was like, okay, for 4 days, I went to the studio and I researched what can I give now?
Yeah.
Right now, it's happening now. This is real. This is real time. That would be potent enough to support or expedite recovery, or at least what I've noticed is with the people that did take it, they didn't have the whole scent problem or any complications afterwards as a result of having the virus. Scent and taste, they're recovered, and they're amazing. They're like better than before, So I took the I have a powder called Sacred Sea. And we talked.
Oh yeah, I have some. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Big time. That people came to me and told me we had the virus, and it helped us through it and helped us mitigate the cough and all that stuff. So I made that into tincture.
Oh, cool.
Liquid.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, because it was the powder, right? The one that you keep in the fridge, right?
The powder, yeah, you can keep in the fridge. Or
was it? I'm trying to remember. Was it the one that tastes really good?
Yeah, like candy.
Yeah. It tastes. I mean, to top it all off, it tastes really good too. I love that stuff. I think Dorian sent me a packet in one of my orders. Yeah, it was really good. Good stuff. I got to get more.
Yeah, it tastes. It has. See, I wrote here a few kind of highlights of specific ingredients that I use that are exotic, if you will, and I don't think that they're very widespread, and that's what I like. I like using ingredients and herbs that first of all are native to a specific land and are very, very traditionally used for. I mean, look, black seed oil, they even trace it back to more than 2,000 years ago. And for instance, one of them, and then I'll go into the formulas. So just going to talk about a few ingredients. One of them is Siberian cedar resin. And when I say Siberian, it's literally, I have a family in Siberia that I work with. I'm telling you, it's like there's the term called grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who, my investor, he comes to me, he said, look, you're really grassroots with what you're doing. And it's important for me to preserve ancient traditions. My tagline is ancient alchemy for a modern era. And that's really what I stand behind, because I work with people that provide their ancient alchemy. Yeah, I'll wait for, look, some ingredients I'll wait for 3 years. I get them at the end. I'll find them.
Right.
So Siberian cedar resin, they actually use it as natural chewing gum because it promotes teeth and gum health. It increases the connection between the teeth and the gums. So people will have receding gums. It's really good. Now, when ingested, it cleans out anything which is considered foreign to a human body. So we're talking about parasites, mold, viruses, microbes, etc.
Wow.
And this is really cool. Whenever there's procedures like MRI or radiation or ultrasound, it damages the DNA. some level, and the DNA loses programs. They're deleted, so to speak, but they're never really deleted. Now, interesting thing, they found that the people that ingest the cedar resin oil, it restores lost programs in the DNA.
Wow. I
Yeah,
have to get some. I just had an MRI.
I know alien stuff. Yeah, I love the
Right?
aliens.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
It's
So
crazy. Yeah.
I love working with alien technology. Believe me.
Awesome.
um, so revives, cleans, and restores basically what has been lost and protecting us from harm from environmental pollution, etc. And then we have the black seed oil, which, like I said, they traced more to 2,000 years ago in Egypt. And
Yeah. I was going to say Egypt, right? Yeah.
yes, yes. It's used a lot in the Middle East and in India and in Turkey. Turkey, it's like a staple. They press the oil fresh
Oh, wow.
from the seeds. Yeah, it's amazing. So it has an antioxidant, treats asthma and airways.
Hmm.
Also, the cedar it has an airway cleaning effect. The black seed has treats skin conditions, blood sugar, cholesterol, aids in weight loss, protects brain health. Which
Hmm.
I'm just kidding. Anti-inflammatory.
Right.
And then something that's really used mostly as incense, which is frankincense.
Frankincense. Yeah.
Used in churches, used as in different ceremonies, used as an incense. Okay. And that's how I grew up with it. And at some point, I started looking into what's the medicinal value of the frankincense.
Yeah. Why is this so popular?
Yeah. Like, okay, so I can buy, for years I was buying it for just incense, but how much can I burn from that stuff?
Right.
And later I realized that I could utilize it in so many different ways, aside from just like an essential oil.
Yeah.
Like a lot of resinous plants, even the cedar, because it's a resin, there is, and myrrh and frankincense, there is an essential oil, which is by distillation. They extract the oil, and the
Mm-hmm.
oil of the plant, all the essential oils are considered the immune system of the plant. Okay, so they extract them. And then there's something called oleoresin. So oleoresin takes the entire resin piece and extracts it into oil, like dissolves it into oil. Okay, so it's like we take a piece of Faust and dissolve you into oil, we'll have an extract, a full spectrum Faust.
Powerful extract.
I want some of that.
Yeah.
So
everybody's doing it.
So what I'm saying is like really there's like a full spectrum and then there's an isolate, just like in CBD or in cannabis, the whole thing of it, isolate CBD. But hey, wait, the God or whatever intelligent design designed this to have all kind of constituents working all together in unison and saying, hey, I'm CBD and I'm CBN and I'm CBG and I'm CBDA and all that, all of us working together versus just like, oh, I'm CBD, I'm the greatest thing forever.
Right. Just but when CBD hit the scene, I overheard so many conversations that I just think about them and I still laugh. People like, ever since I started taking CBD, I really feel better. And I'm like, that's not going to last. CBD isn't going to be the fix all, save all for you. I mean, like I'm sure that it's having a bit of a, what do you call it, placebo effect on you right now. I just, this is what I'm thinking. I'm walking by these conversations. I'm always answering conversations that I walk by in my head, sometimes out loud. My wife's like, what? I'm like, you didn't hear that? I'm like, forget it. Forget it. Oh man. But yeah. I mean, and it's a integrative approach when you begin to consider the organism as a whole, instead of looking at and this is the problem I have with a lot of the medical training that goes on today, is it just, you teach doctors to be kind of a tool and kind of a blunt force tool at that. You don't teach them how health thrives. And so if they understood that, then of course we would live in a different world. But you know what I'm saying? It's like there's such a drawback to the way Western society and the medicine institutes that have come up, and that's why we live in this this world that we're living in now. It couldn't happen without that being in place, which is why in some countries it didn't, because that isn't in place in some countries. Like Japan, for instance, it was basically, they were like, everyone, the whole world is doing it, so let's be careful. But pretty healthy population. They don't have a healthcare system that resembles ours. Pretty healthy people. People are like, no, the reason why Japan didn't get it was because they don't let anyone else in. I'm like, what are you talking about? What I mean? Like, they never even locked down. There was no shutdown in Japan. They gave people the option, and they wear masks in general anyway over there. So it was but I'm just like, they're healthier. Okay. There's a reason why America's still going through it, because we're unhealthy. It's not a secret. You know what I mean? Like, the whole world has an idea. The people who study these things have an idea of what's happening in our country. And it's the general health of our population, which is for shit, for lack of a better term. That's why, the rest of the world has kind of moved on from Omicron, and we're still, we still got these numbers going on. And that's, I think, just a reflection of our overall health,
Health, mental health, diet. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's all preventative. Everything is preventative. Back to those Taoist monks. All they're doing all day is doing preventative stuff. They're living prevention.
Yeah.
When a person lives prevention, then nothing can really touch them. And
look at Wim Hof.
Exactly.
I mean, if you have any trouble believing that, or thinking that is somehow not applicable to you, watch a documentary on Wim Hof's life. Watch them roll up his sleeve and stick him with bacterium after pathogen after contagion, and watch as they monitor his body in real time, just burn that right out of him. It has no effect on him. He has such mastery over his body, and he just understands how to create that in his body now, and he's gotten really good at it. But it's an innate ability. We just don't teach it in our society. You can learn it though. If you pursue it, you can learn it.
Yeah, at least something. Everything that I do is preventative. So yeah, I created three remedies that are more direct to what's happening right now, and I gave them to my employees, and they used them only when they had the virus, and then they stopped. They said, no, use it every day.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Preventative. Yeah,
preventative.
What was the name of I think you sent me a link to the one. What did you call it?
Oh, the flu kit.
Oh yeah, the flu kit. Yeah.
Flu kit. Yeah, it's one of them is basically a vitamin C and zinc and elderberry together with resins of myrrh, frankincense, and a few Chinese herbs, ashwagandha also, and then the herbs that have the suramine and the shikimic acid, which are.
Man, that sounds like a great cocktail. That sounds like a really powerful cocktail. It's got all. Listen, I mean,
it's like a cocktail. Actually, it's like, oh.
I mean, I hear my ears I'm lighting up, because I know all those substances do have such beneficial, and then when you put them together, and just like you said, if you supplement this with your practice, with what you're doing to create this environment in your body, I mean, you're really going to have less to worry about. And why wouldn't you want to have less? Who doesn't want to have less to worry about? First of all, worrying never helped anyone ever, but you know what I'm saying? Less to fear, less to be wary of, I'm going to check it out.
Proactive.
Yeah.
And this is part of being proactive. It's a supplement for another proactive practice of whatever every person chooses for their own health, mental health.
Yeah. And I'm going to include some links in the video description for you guys to check out some of these things that we're talking about. And, and look, Nissim has specifically created some cocktails, as I call them, some formulas, which, he's methodically. Did you just throw up again?
Oh,
Cook.
did?
No, I think she just sneezed. She threw up earlier all over the couch.
Oh,
My sheepadoodle. I don't know what's going on with these dogs. You know what they do in New York City when it snows? They put down those chemicals that melt the ice.
it's a chemical. It's not salt.
Not no, I mean not anymore. Whatever it is now is so strong it
Oh,
burns the bottom of the dog's feet to the point where they come back and they're in pain. Then they're licking those chemicals off their thing and they're sick for days. So their feet are burned and then they get nauseous and they get diarrhea for days afterwards. Um, and then like you got people putting the booties on them. I got doodles and they're not small. I'm like, I got a busted up arm. I'm like, I'm not wrestling these dogs to put these damn little rubber booties on their feet. I'm like, we just try to avoid the salt. But yeah, they've been a little ill since the storm last weekend. But I think
the
okay.
minerals that I work with, which also would be a staple of the flu kit. Minerals is minerals basically are needed by any living organism or any living cell to evolve,
Mm-hmm.
plant, animal, and human. And it's like an igniter. It's like a spark plug in a car. It ignites any biological process in a human body and like I said, in living cell. So human body needs 72 minerals. Organic maybe has 20. And we don't manufacture them. We need to get them from food. So we're all mineral deficient more
Yeah.
than 50 years already because we're not eating biodynamic food. We're eating, highly processed, chemicalized, and like I said, organic doesn't even have
Yeah.
what we
And
need.
and to top it all off, we've genetically engineered some of the fundamental amino acids that we need right out of our most healthiest plants. So,
It's that.
not,
Go ahead.
yeah. No, I was going to say. So I'm sure Nassim is also well aware of this. If you're just even if you just have you have a healthy diet, you're going to the grocery store, you're eating right. A lot of people find this out when they're trying to recover from something, or if they get a diagnosis, they radically change their diet and they continue to, and they continue down this path of disease. And a lot of times because the vegetables that they're consuming are so filled with glyphosate, pesticides, and herbicides. Just there's so many toxic chemicals in the vegetables that they don't get better even with this radical change in diet. And in fact, the vegetables are missing some of the core amino acids that the body needs because of the genetic engineering, the genetic modifications that have gone on with the chemical companies and the fertilizers, whatever they want to call them. They're antibiotics. It's a fancy word for antibiotics. And so supplementing becomes even more important when you look at it in that perspective, because even with the healthiest diet, you're not getting everything that you need just from food. So my suggestion is to look into these supplements. Look at Nassim's site and look how you can protect yourself even more, because even the healthiest diet is going to be missing something thanks to our wonderful industrial agricultural machine, which also happens to be poisoning the earth. We'll have that conversation in a different podcast.
We can go down that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But actually, the minerals that I use, the liquid ones, they've been around for over 4 decades, and they actually purify over 250 contaminants. We talked about that last time.
That's right. We did.
Yeah, and they're used in agriculture. And what you said about the lack of certain amino acids and certain nutrients in the current produce supply is because the lack of minerals in the soil that they were grown with.
That's right.
Because the minerals is what provides the building blocks for the other nutrition. Okay, so if the minerals are missing, that's part of the nutrition, and then the actual nutrition itself, or the other parts of it, end up not being synthesized by the plant.
Right.
So there's something
Big
called
problem.
biodynamic. Biodynamic farming is people that actually understand this conversation and the problem of minerals and the necessity, and they create their own soil. They literally create.
You have to.
Yeah, and they create their own soil and they plant. some places, there's some stores that carry like here a little bit this and maybe some avocado, some things
Yeah.
from a little farm that does that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, they when they measure the difference between what's in these kind of homegrown plants and fruits and vegetables, you would be shocked. You would be shocked at not only what they look like, but the difference in minerals. And that really, I'm not that goes for not just, as you can imagine, plants and vegetables, but you know, if you even if you were to look at, you know, grass fed beef,
Yeah.
you know, or free range, you know, or organically raised, humanely raised chicken. Look at the eggs. Look at the meat. The difference, you cannot miss it. You cannot miss it. Look at the eggs. If you, one egg is, you know, this deep, rich yellow, and it almost, you know, almost an orange hue. You can almost see the nutrition in it. You get an egg out of any grocery store, and it's just this yellow, pale. I mean, it looks, the difference is night and day. When you return to nature, you return to life, I think.
Yeah. To how nature intended
Mm-hmm.
it to be versus interfering too much with nature. And like you said, you know, the pesticides on all the no, not the pesticides, you said fertilizers and
Yeah, I
enhanced,
just,
etc.
yeah, I just got into I have a new show where we're putting on the channel called Believers versus Skeptics. And I just had kind of the second episode of it, and we discussed the fluoridation of water. And my adversary on the show, one of my friends who works with, you know, I was trying to explain to him how fluoride was added to the water because of phosphate fertilizers, and that it's a direct, it was a hazardous waste product that they didn't know what to do with. And he was like, yes, conspiracy theory. I'm like, it's actually history. But
Yeah.
you know, it's just incredible. People,
Test of it.
you know, I mean, people don't, I mean, and water is another thing that you could start with water, you know, there's a lot of chemicals in your water. There's hundreds. And it's amazing. Look, it's amazing that we have found a way to get the water so that we can drink it. You know, you can't just go to most rivers and drink. You know, some maybe, but you'll get sick if you do that, right? There's a lot of stuff in that, and we found a way to clear that, and bring water to most people. That's great. Technology is amazing, but at the same time, you know, we've left a lot of things in the water which don't need to be in the water. So if you're looking for health, start with your water, you know, but make sure that you have a filter system in place. I know it sounds a bit redundant maybe at this point, but water is your body is, it's essential, you know. And Nissim actually has an amazing product, which he can tell you a little bit about, that you can actually travel with, you know, if you're going to a place that maybe the water is, you know, if you're kind of getting it from a well, and it's, what do they call it? Hard water, I think,
Yeah.
when you can't drink it. I mean,
A lot of calcium.
yeah, a lot of calcium. And so you got to be careful, you know, I mean, if it's health you're cultivating, then you want to make sure you know what's in the water. That's what you're infusing your body with.
And we can never really know, because if I look at a cup of water from the tap, you know, I don't really know. I can't really see and identify and tell which chemicals are actually dissolved and active within the water. So, you know, I work with a certain type of minerals that actually, when I add them to the water, there's an actual reaction between the minerals and the chemicals in the water, and it deactivates the chemicals and renders them inert or inactive. And
Right.
it makes them from being dissolved, invisible, to being visible and undissolved.
Right.
And they literally sink to the bottom.
It disassembles them, right, almost on a molecular level. I mean, maybe that's not exactly.
If there's like water, contaminants are on a cluster. Okay, when they're active, they're attached to the water molecules in a cluster. When I put these minerals, they kind of unzip the cluster, and these molecular bonds, they become weak, and the contaminants fall to the bottom. So they're no longer attached to the water molecules and active; they're inactive.
That's right. That's right. Really handy to keep around. You know, some people. I know. I bought a Berkey. Which is great, but you have to buy the fluoride filters. They're extra, and it's not cheap. It's not cheap to, we had this big debate about fluoride, and I won't get into it. I'll leave everyone to the episode and to make up their own mind. But it's a crazy world that we live in. It's very.
These minerals actually neutralize fluoride, chlorine, bacteria, heavy metals, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, glyphosate, atrazine, 250 contaminants. And then we also add between 70 to 100 minerals. So you're getting all the minerals that a person needs.
That's so crazy. And so we'll include a link to that. That's another product that Nissim has, that you can take a look at. Easy to use, easy to travel with, and really incredible if you're trying to take a good look at what you're putting in your body, and you want to be a little more sure that you know what's going in it. This is a great product pickup as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I look at it as I call it a technology, because it really is. It was developed by a scientist who developed a brilliant patent how to mimic a natural process that, check this out, that bacteria that we used to have in the soil would break down rock, because minerals are from rocks. Minerals come from deep earth, volcanic eruptions, and form rocks. And different places in the planet have different rock formations, therefore different mineral compositions. So he was looking at one day out of his window. He's working on this for like 50 years to find some kind of remedy for the groundwater and for contaminated groundwater. And he saw a tree growing out of a rock. It was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And how does this succeed to grow out of a rock? And then he went down that hole. It's like, okay, there's actual bacteria in the roots of the tree and in wherever it's planted that dissolve, that excrete a certain type of acidic matter, or so a certain type of acid to dissolve these rock into minerals that a plant can absorb or a living cell can absorb, because we, in essence, later on eat those plants. Okay. So he mimicked the entire process that these bacteria did, and he's done this in a reactor that he built.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like an amazing. So I call it a technology, which it truly is. A lot of my things, I did call them alchemic, plant alchemy formulas, or technologies. I don't like the word product.
You're right, and it's probably the best way to describe them.
It's a result of a lot of all kinds.
Yeah, I don't mean to deduce. I don't mean to deduce them to anything when I say that.
I know. I'm just saying to you, So the other one that I called it, I called this in the beginning antidote.
Antidote,
yeah. I was like, I don't want to go there. So I changed the name to Immune Essentials. So the Immune Essentials is basically a small bottle of very strong and potent and specific essential oils, which some of them are said to have the suramine and the shishimic acid. And some of the oils we talked before, frankincense, even manuka honey oil, white pine oil, star anise oil, ginger, cinnamon, clove, hyssop, which is a biblical herb that clears the airways. And I also put here a little bit of the Siberian cedar resin oil. So, and a tiny bit of CBD, tiny bit of.
Oh, nice.
I work with Biodynamic, Full Spectrum. It's two brothers, twins that grow it here 3 hours north.
Oh, no kidding.
My minerals. I mean, they use the minerals that I work with to grow. Cool. These minerals are used in agriculture. So they grow the plants with these minerals.
Nice.
biodynamic, and they press the flowers into a resin, and that's like full spectrum. There's no
Nice.
bring me kind of washed white powder. They bring me very sticky resin, and that
Yeah.
I break into oil, and that's like the plant, singing.
And that's the new one, right? That's the immuno essentials.
Immune essentials, yeah. Because when you said CBD, I work with CBD with a full spectrum as an ingredient,
Right.
because it does enhance and it does activate in the body, the body's cannabinoid system,
Right.
which enhances the delivery of nutrients within the system, and the toxicity out.
Yeah. My twin brother, who is a huge fan of cannabis, is always telling me that. he's always like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, no, I know, man. I'm just, I don't want to get as high and as often as you do.
Yeah, like I don't smoke and I don't get high from this. I use it I've learned to use this plant in a medicinal way that it's in conjunction, and it calms people.
No doubt. No doubt.
So so I have these immune drops, and then you put 4 to 5 drops on the tongue.
Okay.
Whenever, and I take this with me. I work a lot from home, so I don't leave that much. Or when I leave, and everything that's going on, I have that. And if I'm feeling something starting to happen, I put a few drops, and stuff works. It's doing something. Like
right.
In 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, something just happened here.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
definitely. I'm gonna check it out for sure. It sounds awesome. Sounds incredible, actually.
Now, here's something that I believe. Well, some people know about this, but it seems like that the current narrative doesn't address specifically the necessity of. Now, by the way, everything here that I'm writing, people can research. You don't have to get it from me. It's like, here's now,
right.
Like
look into it at least,
yeah. The presence of essential fatty acids, omega fatty acids. There's some from fish, from sea sources, and then from animal fat, and then from plants. Okay. And there's some plants which have all the omegas. One of them is moringa, sacha inchi, and black seed oil as well. So what I've found, I've created, and this is like, again, I created this formula for people to support people who have Alzheimer's.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I called it cognition. And I put inside an oil called Silastris, which is an herb from India, which is a tree that's called the intelligence tree. And it's literally used for anti-inflammatory and to promote cognitive function. Now, check this out. Like an electric cord is supposed to have some kind of insulation around it, right?
Yeah.
To work properly, so it won't just short circuit itself. The nervous system needs that protective coating as well, and that's the myelin sheath, which is nourished by essential fatty acids, which is part of the immune response. So I found that by adding this formula, also in very small amounts, all my stuff is really concentrated. So you take a quarter dropper, the other one is a few drops. So by adding the oils, it complements the other herbs.
Wow.
Because it's like bodybuilders that before a competition, their fat percentage is almost what?
They
very low, right?
Yeah.
So and it's a certain diet that they do for a competition. It's not a sustainable diet. They cannot.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Because they're going to be losing cognitive function, bones are weak, hormone production. So we need fats.
Yeah.
Now, it's like, I'm not saying people go eat a steak. That's not, you could eat a steak, but it's not there is essential fats, and then there's cold pressed oils that contain the essential fats, which the body could actually utilize to maintain and balance its nervous system. So these three items and plus the minerals, I would say, if a person wants a certain kit that they feel that they can use for protection, for working with whatever they're going through, this would be a good, give it to kids. It's,
Yeah.
if it's too strong for them, just give them a little water, to wash it down. And the cognition has black seed oil, moringa oil, which moringa in and of itself is a plant that is so versatile. They boost insulin production, anti-inflammatory, helps lower cholesterol, sexual dysfunction, contains vitamin C,
Wow.
antioxidant, and in some countries they actually use it to treat cancer. Just like in Peru, for instance, they'll use cat's claw as a standalone herb to treat cancer, which is like, there's entire documentaries. You can go look, uña de gato, cat's claw, it's like a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a one herb. So there's these super herbs that do a bunch of things, which I combine with my other stuff. So
it makes sense why
yeah,
most people haven't heard of them here in the United States. The documentaries would have been banned long ago.
yeah, they're out there. I mean, it's like it's a whole nother
it is another conversation. There's a lot, but there's a lot, there's a lot of things out there. I think if you're going to take away anything else from this conversation, also take away the fact that this notion that there are no, I don't even know if I'm allowed to use the word, but I'm going to use it anyway. Cures.
Okay.
Is not exactly true. There's a lot of ways to go about, overcoming disease, and not all of them are in the forefront of what Western consciousness and medicine and all that, but they are out there. You have to look.
Addressing that specifically, a couple things. And this is more and more noticed these days, and also by more noticed with doctors in the US even, that are saying, okay, work out, reduce your stress levels, eat healthy. They're already changing their narrative, a lot.
Yeah.
I can see that with a lot of MDs that are not integrative MDs. Integrative MDs, that's what they do. They integrate.
Right.
Like some of my formulas are with an MD that's what he does. He's actually an osteopath.
Right.
Osteopath are actual MDs. So he does in integrative medicine. So they talk more about prevention.
Right.
Now, you take MDs in Peru or in Ecuador, they're working with the Amazonian herbs.
Yeah.
So for them, it's like, what's going to solve this problem? What's going to CURE? Right. this condition, we're going to use it. So they're already, a lot of the research of, frankincense, for instance, is in Oman. Yeah. In Oman, they have an entire lab. I actually contacted the lab. They have a lab of 6 or 7 physicians, which are showing how this eyesight, blood, heart conditions, cancer, frankincense, their local tree.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is that my work is to bring the different approaches, the different knowledge, the different exotic, different herbs that have been used for so long, and revive it and say, hey, it's real. And I'll find you the most purest one and the cleanest one, and I don't cut corners. I'm just going to do it right.
Right.
Provide it.
Absolutely. And
you're back okay?
Oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I think that's just a habit I have of doing that. And I have these wheels that are always, I got to figure out a way to get stationary. I'm always rolling all over the place. But, one of the most incredible things that's come out of this, and I think that there's still a lot of controversy around the truth about this. There are still people who think that that Nobel Prize winning medicine, which begins with the letter I, they've been propagandized into thinking that it's a horse dewormer, which, how do you have a computer and the internet and do any amount of research and or do you just believe everything that you're told? It's like, I mean, that is a Nobel Prize winning medicine because of how many lives it's saved, starting in Africa where it was first used. When they looked to what they did was they looked to repurpose certain drugs when this all happened, and they found some incredible ones. But what most of those have in common is they come from plants. They come from the types of herbs and supplements. They all kind of have a core that come from a natural remedy. And so, whether you're talking about the one that starts with the letter H or the one that starts with the letter I, they all have something in common. There's a core of these things that are found in nature. And I think that's worth noting, that the cure has been out there all along.
Yeah, there's a saying: whenever God brings a problem, brings a solution at the same time, they land. It's something about any look. A lot of pharmaceuticals are at some point were a plant,
right?
The only problem that I have with that is the isolation of the active molecule and attaching it to other delivery systems and mechanisms to deliver in the body, which all that other plethora of stuff is not that great.
Right.
And then I'm saying I'm cheating nature. I'm saying, oh, I'm smarter than nature. I'm just going to take the one molecule and make out of it whatever I make out of it. But
yeah. We don't know how that ends up.
There's an innate intelligence. And all my formulas, I give all the credit to the plants. I formulate using intuition. So I'm asking the plant, which plant, hey, how much of you and who of you wants to be in this formula? I'm with the name and the intention, literally. It seems weird, but I'm all into the weird stuff, it's weird, but
some of us know that's where all the magic happens,
Yeah, medicine people in the Amazon, they don't have a PhD. They didn't study. They didn't sit in an herb class. They talk to the plants. Oh, is that weird? Right. Sure, I want that weirdness, and thank you very much. I'm going to bring that and make that mainstream.
It's not weird to me, but maybe to some people it's weird. Yeah, maybe they've never talked to a plant. You should try it sometime.
Exactly. There's an intelligent design that said that moringa has to have all the constituents versus one molecule that is the active molecule. Oh, and right. I'm genius and I found it and I'm going to make a lot of money and the whole pharmaceutical, exactly. Whatever, it's like, no, yeah. So I'm like this, even in the supplement world. So you have people want vitamin C. Yeah, you can go get a supplement of vitamin C, but it's isolated. Yeah. It's isolated. Right. So I'm saying I'm taking vitamin C from acerola cherry,
right?
Entire cherry. I'm bringing you the cherry itself. It has vitamin C. And in the sacred seed liquid, I brought amla, which is it's a fruit. It's an Ayurvedic fruit. It's like round. It's really sour. And it has a lot of vitamin C. And I brought guava. Guava has zinc.
Yes.
So I can take isolates. I'm like, no, this plant has something to tell us. It has a story.
Yeah.
So let's let it express its zinc and vitamin C through its story.
And what people need to understand about Big Pharma is the patents that they own on vitamins are not just so they can be the monopolizing profiteer off those vitamins, but they're also blocking patents. They're also to keep elements of that vitamin from being used as potential cures. And this is a well-known fact in the industry. You can talk to any doctor who has been in a lab and come across, something that was really shockingly effective at treating cancer or, any number of diseases. And then when they go ahead and try to find out how to put that into practice, they learn the hard way that somebody already knew about it and they're not allowed to touch it. It's not an uncommon story. And so by getting these vitamins from a true source, that have not been adulterated or manipulated in any way, like you would buy off a shelf, from a company that is making them, you're doing yourself a service.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
absolutely.
Look, and I don't want to sound, and especially not on your podcast, about it. It's not about going against anyone.
Right.
Just it's just like the fact that going down to the basic, there is no quick fix in life.
Right.
Everything is staged by,
That's right.
moment by moment, day by day, repetition, consistency. And what do I want to be consistent with? Something that is building my system or degrading it. And that's a choice
right.
everyone makes. I'm not making, there was this is, I think you probably heard Dr. Robert Malone.
Yeah.
You heard him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. More than once. Yeah.
Oh, that's a conversation. I really appreciate the way he describes it, because he says, look, I took that and
right.
I took 2 of those, and I'm not telling anyone to yes or no. And I'm telling people that there's a choice, because there's repercussions. There's,
that's right.
It's an interesting approach. So he didn't go against anyone. He's like, let's have a dialogue and see what works.
That's right. And that's what informed consent is. I mean, informed consent means being honest about what is being given. I mean, and he lined up for it. I mean, one of the people who he invented it, basically. One of the people who really brought it from this idea to actual real life. And he tells the story of how he was proud to roll up his sleeve, and how he kind of sideways said to the nurse, like, I invented this. Yeah. And that's, look, of course that's human nature, but I appreciate his honesty, and I appreciate him having the courage and fortitude to step up, knowing he would be attacked and slandered. And now they're going after poor Joe, but oh man, what a world we live in. But
another podcast.
Yeah.
But hey, there's a place for everything. And,
that's right.
And it all comes down. Have you seen the new Matrix 4?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Choice. The whole context of the movie was choice.
That's right.
And it comes down to choice, and then no one's better. I'm not better than anyone. It's choice, and then there's results and repercussions. And am I willing to take on the results, the repercussions of whatever I'm choosing?
That's right.
And that's
because there's cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
And it's one of my favorite Neil Donald Walsh sayings is, he don't tell people that you have a better way, because then comparison comes in. Comparisons are odious. They naturally bring duality. But just say you have a different way, right? And there's always a different way. There's always a choice. That's how I like to think about it.
Like the Keymaster and the third.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I love that part. Oh man. But Nissim, this has been awesome, man. I'm so glad that we got together again to bring some of this stuff to the forefront, and kind of expand on our conversation before, which was more general, and get into some of these topics, which I think are, very, very, people are very curious right now about what else they can be doing. And I think that we definitely talked about a lot of what they can be doing. So I hope everyone who stayed with us enjoyed it as much as we did. And Nissim, man, it's good to see you, bro.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Where you're in
LA.
California, right?
Yeah, close to LA. Yeah, by LA.
Cool. Oh yeah, that's right. Very cool. Yeah, nice. It's freezing here. I'm in New York, still stuck here for the time being.
You're in Florida, also, no?
Well, we got a place in Florida. But it's right now. It's just a second home for the family. But yeah, we'll see much longer I'm here in New York. But all is well, my friend. It's good to see you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Yeah, brother. And thank you for everything. And for everyone listening, we're going to include some links and everything so you guys can check it out. And hope you enjoy the podcast. Nissim, thanks again, bro. Good to see you.